Good afternoon, and welcome to our lesson on discrete probability. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a discrete probability chart, how to make a graph, and how to answer questions associated with a given chart. A lot of this is actually going to be review. Now, just to let you know, discrete just means whole numbers. That's it. Like in this example, we're trying to figure out the frequency of how many people own how many cats. Well, notice that the number of cats owned could be 0, 1, 2, or 3. You can't see 1.5 cats or 2 1/3 cats. That's what I mean by discrete. Okay, well, in chapter 3, we did figure out how to do probability, and the number one thing we must do for probability is find the total. So the first step is to add up all the numbers. And the total, if you sit here and add them, is 1,910. Okay, now in order to find each probability, we will divide each frequency divided by 1,910. So first up, we will do 969 divide 1,910. And if you do that, you're going to get 0.507. All right, next, we will do 501 divide 1910. And that's equal to 0.262. Next, we will do 385 divide 1,910. And that's equal to 0.202. And finally, we can do 55 divided by 1,910. And that's equal to 0.029. Okay, so as of right now, our frequency chart is complete. And now I'd like to make a histogram. All right, for 0 cats, the probability is 0.507. So let me which is around 500. So I'm going to draw a box like this and maybe shade it in a little bit. Something like that, okay. Next is 262, which is about halfway between 200 and 300. So I'll draw a line like that, sorta. Something. Then 202, that's pretty close to 200, so I'll just draw a line straight out like that. And then 0.029, that's barely off the ground. So I'll draw a line like this. And if you had to describe the shape of the graph, I would say it is skew to the left because the tail is on the left side. All right, let's do another one. So these are the number of cars owned by families. So the number one step is to find the total. We need the total before we can do anything else. And if you sit here and you add it up, the total, the total is going to equal to 1,500. So now lots of dividing. First we will do 119 divided by 1,500. And that is equal to 0.079. Next, we will do 384 divide 1,500. And that is equal to 0.256. Next, we can do 506 divide 1,500. and that's equal to 0.337. Yeah, that'll work. All right, next we can do, what is it? Oh, 341 divide 1500. And for that we get 0.227. And finally, we can do 150 divide 1500. And that's equal to 0.1, which I'm going to call 0.100. Okay, so right now our probability chart is complete. Let's draw our graph. So first, 0.079, that's between 0.50 and 100. So I'll draw a chart like this. Then 256, that's pretty close to 250, so I'll draw a line like that. All right, next is 337, which is pretty close to 350, just a little underneath. And we'll do something like that. Then 227, which is between 200 and 250. So I'll do something like that. And finally, 100, which we have exactly that. And if I had to describe this, I would call this a bell-shaped graph because it kind of looks like a bell. Okay. So now we have games played in a 7-game series. First step is to find the total. Let's do that first. And the total is, let's see what the calculator says, 106. Okay, now we have a lot of dividing to do. So first we will do 11 divide 106. And that's equal to 0.104. Next we can do 23 divide 106. Yeah. And that's equal to 0.217. Next we can do 32 divide 106. And that's equal to 0.302. And then finally, we can do 40 divide 106. And that's equal to 0.377. Whoops. Put it right there. So our chart is now complete. Let's make our graph. So first 104, that's pretty close to 100, so I'll just put a line at 100, like so. Next is 217, which is slightly above 200, so do a line like that. Excuse me, 302, that's pretty close to 300. So we'll draw a line like so. And finally, 377, that's between 350 and 400. So I'll draw a line like this. And if I had to describe this, I would say this is skewed to the left. Skewed to the left. Because the tail is on the left side. Which means I made a mistake on the first one. Hang on. Let me go back. I'm going to fix it. Question 1 was skewed right because the tail is on the right side. All right, that's fixed. All right. So now there may be a question where you're given a chart that's already filled in, and they want you to answer questions related to it. Like the first question is, what is the probability that a family owns between 1 and 3 dogs? Okay, well, what we would do is find the probability of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3, and add them together. So we would do 373 plus 0.289 plus 0.114. And that's equal to, let's see what the calculator says, 0.776. Okay, the next question says at least 2 dogs. Well, at least 2 means 2 or 3 or 4. So we'll do 0.289 plus 0.114 plus 0.058. And all that's equal to 0.461. All right, the next question says, what is the probability that a family owns at most 1 dog? Well, at most 1 means either 1 or 0. So I would do 0.166 plus 0.373. And that's equal to 0.539. And then finally, what is the probability that a family owns 1 or 2 dogs? So 0.373 plus 0.289, that is equal to 0.662. So now you should be able to answer questions 1 through 3 on the homework. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great afternoon.